It's time now for a look at what's been making waves on the internet and on social media in Media Watch with James Creedon, who's with us here on set. And James, of course, a lot of headlines are pointing to an international concern for democracy in Brazil after, of course, the first round vote on Sunday.
That's right. Headlines quite sounding the alarm bells, if you like. In Brazil, only the grandest of coalitions can now defeat Bolsonaro. And they're talking about how really all the other parties are going to have to kind of group together around one of the candidacies. A lot of comparisons with Trump. We're hearing slogans such as tropical Trump or even tropical Putin. So pick your autocratic leader and add in tropical. It seems to be the formula for a lot of headlines. And some of his more shocking statements about, well, pick your minority or pick your, I suppose, women as well. So really a lot of very, well, disgusting statements according to Sheena Anderson, and she ain't far off the mark. I had 4 sons, but then I had a moment of weakness, and the 5th was a girl. I'm not going to rape you because you're very ugly, to a female representative in Congress. And really, the list is very long. It almost makes other loudmouth leaders seem lightweight by comparison. This is an article from 1993 in the New York Times. They've put up a digital version here, but it was obviously just print at the time. A soldier turned politician wants to give Brazil back to army rule. So he has a long history of being autocratic and not really hiding the fact that he's had an aberration for the military leadership of the past. This is Vincent Bevins, a contributor to the Washington Post, saying journalists and analysts writing about Brazil's election don't try to save yourself from doing work or exercising judgment by saying Bolsonaro has been accused of homophobic, misogynistic, etc. remarks. No, look at what he said. It's not putting things in inverted commas or saying he's been accused of is really inaccurate, in fact, because he has said these things. This is Tyler Avaliquette, researcher and professor at the University of Brasilia. He is also pointing to, I suppose, the excuses or the defences used by Bolsonaro voters, saying, oh, well, he might say these things to get votes, but he doesn't really mean it. And he says here, well, why did he say it then? Why, then smile, gloat and never apologise. When a person shows you who they are, believe them. So a lot of people sounding the alarm bells, whether it be on social media or in press pieces around the world, saying this is really very serious in terms of an attack on democratic principles in this election.
There's also been an effort to try and push back against fake news in this whole election.
That's right, a lot of fake news circulating. And just again to take a look at some of the tweets before we get to one of the solutions or one of the I suppose measures being put in place. This is again Vincent Bevins of the Washington Post. Just spoke to a gas station worker who makes just barely enough to live and voted twice for Lula. Now he recounts here that the gas station worker told him about a program to pay criminals in prison more than I make. So he's going to vote Bolsonaro because he thinks the criminals in prison are making more money than he makes at a gas station, which just isn't, that's untrue, that's fake news that's been circulating. And the gas station worker said, well, check it, it's online, it's on the internet. I was informed by a cab driver, says Tyler Avaliquette here, of that Ciro Gomes, who is the centrist candidate, who came in 3rd in the first round, that he works for Hugo Chavez. And so he is saying, like, where are people learning this? Well, they're learning it through fake information that is circulating, in particular on WhatsApp, but also on Facebook. And one measure that's been put in place, set up by journalists, is something called Comprova, which means prove it. And it's essentially a collaboration between lots of different journalists across different newsrooms. Now, the website here isn't actually getting a huge amount of hits, but what's happening is they are requiring news stories to be cross-referenced and verified by at least 3 media, and then they'll green-light it. And newsrooms across Brazil are using this to make sure that certain pieces of information that are circulating on social media are being verified.
Meanwhile, just like the rest of Brazil, social media has rarely been so polarised.
It really, really is, and it's quite nasty. A lot of the stuff that's up there as well. So just a selection of some of the maybe not quite so nasty stuff. This gun kind of salute is a reference to the fact that Bolsonaro is in favour of relaxing gun control, and obviously very, very high rate of homicide in Brazil. So this message that we're going to be tough on crime and even allow people to have their own guns is actually going down very very well with Bolsonaro supporters. You can see there that's one girl giving the gun sign, the thumbs up if you like. This one says not 100% in agreement with Bolsonaro, but 100% in disagreement with the return of the PT. That's the party of Lula, which really is associated now with mass corruption. And so this here, you have these hashtags which have just totally inundated social media. LA Sim, which is mean him yes, in other words yes for Bolsonaro, and this one says him never again. So you have variations on that across social media, people making them their Facebook profile photos and whatnot. This is then against Bolsonaro, saying him no, and there's all sorts of other images up there as well, both pro and against. This is somebody using the kind of Looney Tunes or iconography, and that's actually a Bolsonaro supporter saying that he's going to get tough on crime, if you like, and push the commies and the lefties off the cliff. So it's very, very, very polarised indeed.
Okay, James Creedon with a very Brazilian media watch. Thank you very much. I'm back after this very short break with more world news. We'll also have the latest edition of our Eye on Africa programme. Do stay with us if you can.